Big news. Major League Bully's very own Pimpy has been cloned as a horse. What the fuck? Pimpy horse? Oh my God, guys.
48 minutes of dogs barking. 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 Growl. Growl. 48 minutes of dogs barking. 48 minutes of dogs barking.
Someone in our part of the warehouse was playing Sarah McLachlan.
Hell yeah, let's go.
I know it wasn't. It was like
No?
it was like the Save the Kitten music.
Arms and Angels, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, for one Lucy a day, you can keep you can keep a warehouse worker from losing his job. And if you want to be a better friend to the logistics laborers of America, suggest donating a airport bottle of mid-tier whiskey.
Nice.
And everyone's like, just gave me this look like, what the? Because I forget that some people just don't know that I'm funny.
Yeah.
Guy came up to me. He was like, "Can I borrow a Post-it note?" And I was like, "I don't know. You got some Zaza?" And he's like, huh? He was like, looked at me. And he's like, maybe. And I'm like, I'm good, man. I'm just fucking with you. I've been calling him Zaza Man ever since.
Zaza Man.
Zaza Man. He's like, "What's up, man?"
Nice. I love that shit.
Oh God. Yeah,
I had an argument with a coworker about what constitutes a proper gumbo. So,
Yeah.
That's been my day.
Yeah. We got like, unfortunately, like one of the things that like the less well-performing employees at my job do is that when they like disappear or they like take long breaks and you're like, "Hey, what's up with that?" And they're like, "Oh, we were in the bathroom." And I'm like, well, can't really say too much about that.
Yeah.
But I've almost had like pull a couple guys to the side and be like, "Hey man, like I really don't give a shit, but don't ever give us a reason to give you a second look. That like if you think you're better than this job or you're burnt out, like dude, that is perfectly fine. You think you're not getting paid enough? Perfectly fine.
Totally normal.
Don't fucking paint a target on your back.
Well, there's that. Yeah, that's a big one.
Like, dude, there is a way to coast, and you are not doing it.
Yeah. And you don't want to give them that advice because you don't want them to coast, but at the same time, you don't want to be like that guy. You don't want to be the micromanager.
I don't want to be the hard ass.
No.
Like,
who wants to be the hard ass?
And like, I've had a couple of my subordinates even like point out like, yeah, that guy's fucking it up for the rest of us. Like,
oh yeah,
like you're like chill and like my team's supervisor like is pretty chill, but like there's one guy kind of like fucking it up, and we're like, God damn it, man! Like we're trying to not be assholes here. Now we gotta be assholes to everyone because like
you did this.
You want to take a third break, but don't know how to do it on the sly.
Mm-hmm. I got one of those.
Where it's like, dude, like you can fucking you like you're not slick.
No.
If you were being slick, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Well, yeah, like 3 hours late on a Sunday. Like, man, I know what happened. You partied last night.
Yeah.
Don't fucking lie to me. Just cop to it. It's fine. Tell me the night before, hey, I'm out. I might be a little late. Okay.
When other people who aren't even on your team are narking on you.
Yeah, bad. Very bad. very, very bad. Very bad.
Hey, who's that guy? Like, yeah. Dude, like.
When they can finger one guy in particular, that's when you know he's fucking up, because it's otherwise just like, oh, this team kind of sucks, or like this shift kind of sucks. But yeah, if they can point to one guy,
like, what's up with this dude? I'm like, man, I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Anyways, this is 48 Minutes of Dogs Barking. My cohort here is Jason. I'm
Hello.
Brian. We are smoking on that Danganronpa nuclear fission runts pack.
On that S2 engine pack.
The SG-1000 Sega Master System.
Just
diesel.
Yep.
hybrid cookie runts. Ultimate Fukushima levels of sour.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're on that Tokyo 3-pack.
It is not that booty shit.
No.
We're smoking on the stuff that people make. Like, are you smoking like a clove? That shit that's so like people are like, they can't comprehend that it's marijuana.
Right.
Like, are you smoking like one of those herbal cigarettes that like
the fake ones that they use for
got,
theater
like, bergamot
production
in it or some shit?
Yeah, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a weird week, obviously. We say that every week, but every week is fucking weirder than the last, not the least of which was the presidential debate. Brian, did you see the presidential debate?
I didn't watch any of it. I think my girlfriend had put it on as I was going to bed because I work so fucking early in the morning.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're not a
but
late
I got
nighter.
the cliff notes over the last couple of days, and it sounds like Trump got his ass handed to him, but also Kamala Harris did not. I think it was just kind of like it was a debate between two Republicans.
Yeah, it was very weird. My kids and I watched it, which was also very weird.
They're eating the dogs.
Yep, that was the one. That was the line that we kept.
The illegal aliens, they come over here so they can become trans and eat your dogs.
They're doing transgender operations on illegals in prison, I think was the exact line. Complete insanity.
I jerk off to that.
That's a very specific tab on X videos. But
yeah.
Talking to Brian Muir, here's former President Donald Trump, courtesy of Crooked News.
And look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Yeah, so
absolutely fucking insane.
She baits him with a comment about his rallies. So the previous question was about something else, and then she throws in a jab at the end about, there's no enthusiasm on their side. All these people are leaving the rallies, knowing that he's going to take the bait. He takes the bait, starts talking about the rallies for 30 seconds, and then dives into, in Springfield, they're eating the dogs. After doing a little digging, this has been kind of a racist conspiracy theory against the Haitian population in Springfield, Ohio. It's a very odd situation.
And there's a similar thing going on in Aurora, and also a little bit separate, but this has been kind of a thing going on in the UK for a year or two. I think it's been a thing for a while, but it's a notable thing,
right?
At least for us Americans, the notice has been about a year or two of these weird dog whistles and fear-mongering about immigrants. It's just kind of unabashedly bigoted and racist and generally baseless.
Well, and just also batshit. It's just completely batshit. They're eating what? Who? What?
Yeah,
eating dogs?
I saw a video of this British far-right person. A video of it looked like a bunch of West African, North African immigrants, and they're in a hotel, and they're just kind of showing off the hotel, and they're not really saying anything. They're just kind of one of the dudes is playing a song on his cell phone, and there's vibing out, and look, they're wearing designer clothes, and they're telling their friends and their mates to come here because they know we're weak.
Oh yeah,
and it's I don't know. They look like they bought some shit from the clearance rack at the Sports Authority in 2004. They don't look not stunning.
No,
their clothes look new. They're not wearing designer fits, sir.
Yeah. What do you want them to wear? Rags and sackcloth and ashes? That kind of shit.
They're wearing bargain bin athleisure, which is fine.
They got it in
but
Goodwill.
But don't try to portray that they're wearing some off the rack shit from Nordstrom.
They got the Supreme hoodies on, whatever. Yeah, just ridiculous. So the eating the dogs meme made a lot of hay, specifically the fact that he mentioned a town called Springfield. And so a good number of people who are way into Simpsons memes immediately glommed onto it. My favorite of which was this one. Fear Gas Kelly. I believe it's Fergus, but it's spelled Fear Gas. Fear Ghas Kelly. Absolute clown, his bio reads. BBC New Comedy Award shortlist. SYTY Funny semi-finalist. Oh, so you think you're funny. And host of Screen Time at Stand Glasgow. Genuinely funny guy, spliced the clip from the debate into a song from The Simpsons. Here it is.
We're the sauce on your steak. We're the cheese in your cake. We put the spring in Springfield.
They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the pets in Springfield.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so in his post it just says, I better go super viral for this. Doing pretty good there, Fergus. 35K retweets, 141K likes as of
6.5 million views.
Yeah, not too shabby. Better go super viral. I think he got it.
I think
Pretty
he did.
close. As good as you can get
Too
on.
bad he doesn't have that blue checky. He's not getting those Elon bucks.
I'm telling you.
He's leaving money on the table.
On the table. So aside from Fergus, not everyone's having such a good time with this. The City of Springfield, Ohio's Facebook page noting that City Hall is closed today because of a bomb threat. So, not great.
No, awesome. I believe also it's been reported that like the Haitian immigrants that live in Springfield, Ohio, have like not been sending their kids to school. Like their businesses and their homes are being defaced. Like, what a fucking miserable thing.
Yeah, not great. After that, I thought we needed some levity. Now, are you familiar with Shannon Sharpe? Do you know who Shannon Sharpe is?
I know the name.
Okay.
Not related to Edward Sharpe of Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros.
No, not at all. So Shannon Sharpe, former NFL player, Hall of Famer, and host on ESPN. So he's on an ESPN show. He's got a few other things. His was the talk show that Cat Williams went on over the summer, right? And Shannon Sharpe has an Instagram account. It's relatively new. And the other day, a 4-minute video went live of him fucking. Here's a clip from at Sally's World. Very clearly just having a good time.
Someone was having a great September 11th.
An image of the ceiling and then the floor, and you just hear moaning and thrusting and... Oh, little smack.
Yeah. Just thank you, Jason, for playing audio of an old man piping down. Thank you.
So the New York Post writing, this is Dylan Svoboda writing for the New York Post. Shannon Sharpe claims his Instagram was hacked after a sexually explicit video was posted to his account on Wednesday. Not sexually explicit. All you see is the ceiling. You just hear it.
The audio is suggestive.
Very suggestive, yes. The video started with the camera pointed toward what appeared to be the ceiling before turning over and facing down for the rest of the clip. Sharpe has been private about his dating life. He was previously engaged to fitness trader Katie Kellner in 2016, but never married. With more than 3.2 million followers on Instagram, thousands of people tuned in for the Not Safe for Work live feed. Some Instagram users had fun at Sharpe's expense in the comments. Hang up the phone, big unk, one commenter wrote. Unk tripping right now. She's sabotaging my dog. Breaking news, y'all. Shake my head. He would later then say, oh, I was hacked. Beware. It was hacked this morning. My team and I are working vigorously to figure this out. Signed, Unk. No, I did not know this, but Unk apparently is not just referring to the fact that he's an older guy, but the fact that that's like an actual nickname. People call him Unk. And so he signed it Unk. He was on Undisputed. Now he has a podcast with Chad Ochocinco.
I heard that name in a minute.
I know. Called Nightcap. And it was on Nightcap where he finally admitted, you know what? It was an accident. I'm old. I don't know how to work Instagram. I pressed a button and tossed my phone on the bed and and got to business. And I was like, well, okay, you know what? That's more believable than I was hacked. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a sneaking suspicion. I told you this off mic, but I have a sneaking suspicion that there's a little bit of trickery afoot. That, well, as was mentioned in that New York Post article, he's been very private about his love life. And there were rumors that he was either bi or gay. Maybe this was an attempt to be like, no. I'm as straight as they come. You heard the lady. That kind of
I
thing.
eat cat like a Haitian.
God damn it. Yeah. You got me there. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I could watch anyone's Instagram live video for 4 minutes.
No.
Regardless of what was going on.
On Nightcap, he says, obviously I'm embarrassed. Something that is extremely, extremely private. And to have one of your most intimate details, the audio, heard for the entire world to hear, I'm embarrassed for a number of reasons. I don't know, man. It sounded like you were getting down. I'm good. I don't think you need to be embarrassed about that. I think maybe it's like, oh, oops, Butterfingers. Maybe you're embarrassed about that part, but
Yeah, I don't think it's embarrassing that like you're boning.
no.
It's embarrassing that you accidentally hit Instagram Live. I don't think you should be embarrassed for fucking.
No. It's the broadcasting it part, I think, is the
Yeah,
part. Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Another piece of levity to get our minds off of eating cats and Haitians and all sorts of other stuff. Pygmy hippo Moo Deng. A young pygmy hippo named Moo Deng was born at the Khao Kho Open Zoo in Thailand in July of this year and has since gone bonkers online. Look at that face!
It's such a tiny little hippo.
I know. The name Moo Deng literally translates to bouncing pork. You gotta love that stuff. But yes, the social media accounts were opened in the name of Moo Deng. There was a great piece of art on September 5th by artist at Sartanis. Little guy, just a little guy. The hippo being sprayed with water from a hose. People doing all sorts of fan art. Look at that little goofy guy. It is a female pygmy hippo, but there's still just nothing like a little critter running around. I don't know why. I just was like,
Until Moo Deng tried to secretly take chicken.
Yes, there is a yes. That's he's gonna get yelled at by the mom. Yeah, but apparently, according to the Bangkok Post, the zoo staff at that zoo had specifically made a request. Hey, knock it off! Don't throw things at the young animal. Apparently, there were some videos of visitors throwing what looked like shellfish while the hippo was napping. And like as some of them
I'm gonna
will
throw some prawns to the sleeping animal. This is a completely normal thing to do.
Yeah, as you do. That's the thing that you do when you go to the zoo, don't you? I mean, I've got a pocket full of shellfish. I've got a pocket full of shellfish. All right, that's enough of that. And so because of that, they've installed CCTV around the enclosures, said, knock it off, guys. But, Moo Deng, wonderful. Love Moo Deng. You know what I don't love, Brian? Crypto scams. That's right.
You're listening to 48 Minutes of Dogs Barking, the podcast.
And now it's time for the Crypto Scam of the Week.
This is a juicy one.
This is.
This is one that's been fucking bubbling.
Whew.
Bubbling for, I want to say, the better part of a year.
Yeah.
One of the most interesting scams I've seen. Every crypto influencer was trying to sell out their following on social media for friend tech.
Yep. Friend.tech.
Yeah, you want to explain friend tech? I think you can.
Courtesy of the good folks at DL News, FriendTech was a social network built on Coinbase's Buzzy Base blockchain. And it basically, they're shutting down. And the investors, the people who created this from the ground up, are left holding the bag, whilst the project creators walk away with about $44 million. About a year ago, where they launched? About
A little over a year
ago.
It had very interesting first couple months. Then it ate shit for a long time. And then when the market started to show a little bit of life again in March, bounced back a little. But generally was something that I guess you could say had pump, a dead cat bounce, and kind of then, cratered 80% to 90%, and then bounced back about 20% off of that low. Yeah, that's all she wrote.
So, what was the pitch for Friend.tech? Because
so, if I recall correctly, and I'm not going to be speaking as a authority here, but my
Sure.
rough understanding, I never visited the website or anything like that. But from what I can understand, when I would spend more time perusing crypto Twitter for weird shit like this, is that you could like buy like stock, like someone's account, as it were. It was a really weird social thing. Like even some like OnlyFans models got into it.
Okay.
Some other people outside of the crypto space. But I think what ultimately happened, it was a volume scam.
Okay.
Which is to say you're getting a lot of hype, you're getting a lot of transactions, you're getting as far as the project managers and the people behind the project, is that the money is in the fees, in the tax, in the buy tax or the sell tax or whatever. And so that's how they end up walking away with 40 million. That's how a lot of times you will see these pump and dump crypto scams where there's a fair launch, blah, blah, blah. The team doesn't have any tokens, but there is like going to be a marketing wallet and whatever. And that's being fed by 2% tax on every buy and every sell. And so if you end up having hundreds of millions of dollars of volume in a couple days or in a week or two, I mean, 2% of that,
Yeah.
that's a sizable amount of money.
Right.
And there were some crypto projects, even a couple last bull run, that had 6 or 7% buy and sell tax, and ended up having ridiculous treasuries that some of them actually did get used for what they were going to get used for, which is whatever. But they go back to a previous crypto scam of the week, MCC, Multi-Chain Capital.
Yes.
They're seeing there is a dormant treasury wallet from the buy and sell tax of that scam token that I think is at $15 or $16 million.
Sweet Jesus.
And like it's just sitting there.
And is that the one where they can't access it because everyone's in jail, or is it the other
No,
one?
no. That's the one where the dev, Mr. Wonderful, I think that's what he was. I can't remember.
Yeah. Okay.
Kind of just like ghosted after the market started to eat shit in early 22. And that was the one where the Telegram channel was being kept alive by the Telegram mods. And one of the guys was posting about how, this is the Crypto Wonderful or Mr. Wonderful, whoever the dev was actually like a Coinbase employee. And we've served papers at Coinbase and all this. And I looked at it the other day, and it hasn't really progressed much further. It's a strange tale. I wish it would have a more interesting into it or progress, but like it's kind of
that's what's going to happen with some of these. I have a feeling. And notable here, Friend Tech, venture firms Paradigm and Notation Capital invested in the seed round at an undisclosed valuation. Many crypto investors bought the token in hopes of profiting from its success. Now, there is hope, as there always is, because hope springs fucking eternal in crypto. The original project's creators abandoned it. There's nothing stopping the app's users or another team from forking it, essentially, picking up a copy. Yeah, and then they tell about a success story, sort of. Solidly, that one was forked after it was abandoned and relaunched on Base as a new exchange called Aerodrome. Aerodrome has become Base's biggest protocol. So what they're saying here in this DL News article, Tim Craig writing here, is that, there's hope, but I don't know. After being burned like that, I don't know that the community is...
I don't think there's any hope for Friendtech. I think that will probably be some sort of zombie project for a period of time.
So what would set Friendtech apart from something like Aerodrome?
Aerodrome, I believe, is an exchange.
Okay.
So
it's more about the utility.
I haven't fucked with Base as far as like understanding what makes that protocol different. I just know that it's Coinbase's blockchain.
Right.
And there's a couple projects on there that have been successful, like Arrow. But Arrow is kind of like Uniswap or Uniswap on Ethereum or PancakeSwap on BSC. Okay,
so it's a medium through which funds are moved. It's not necessarily any other utility.
It's a DEX.
Okay, gotcha.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
There's a lot of people who or a lot of crypto influencers and stuff that have gotten a lot of hate, and particularly since it dumped really hard in May. Have gotten a lot of hate because, like, well, you told us to buy your Friend Tech portfolio or whatever, and yeah, it was just wild. It's just wild to see how that just ate shit.
Yeah, because the idea was that you can buy a token and then get access to like a specific social media user and like chat with them or something. If I'm reading this
Yeah,
right.
I think it was kind of like crypto OnlyFans in the sense that if you had like so many tokens or something like that of a certain influencer or profile, then yeah, you could have access to like chatting with them or something like that.
Yeah, but half of these influencers, I don't even care what they have to say.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah.
Some guy who half of his tweets are about how he thinks Doge is actually going to pump to $1 this cycle, and the rest of them are all of these fear-mongering posts about like what's going on allegedly in Springfield. And
Right.
then, like you realize like this is like some guy that lives in the Philippines.
Right, or it's gonna be some guy whose entire online personality is like doing phrenology. I'm like, no, I'm good.
The crypto race science.
Real shithead hours.
Did you see that the Bronze Age pervert like showed his face?
You showed me. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And I just remember that like this looks like a guy who like lives in like Southern Ohio, drives a beat up fucking Trans Am, and listens religiously to like anal cunt.
I was thinking that or like Molly Hatchet. He's got the
Yeah.
Molly Hatchet lanyard from the last tour. Yeah. I don't know. Something tells me. He's like, yeah, I don't know about all these other rock bands,
he's lost
man.
a toe from mowing the lawn, kind of guy.
At least once. If
They
not
had to
more than-
reattach it, and he fucking did it again. The
Did
next
it
time.
again,
Fuck.
yeah.
Ah, fuck!
God damn it.
That one shot across the yard.
All right. Well, it is time for the main subject this week. I have not thought about this comic in forever.
I think about it quite often.
Really?
Yeah.
It goes by a bunch of different names, actually.
It's sometimes called Clementine Comix. Sometimes it's called Terrible, Terrible, Terrible. Sometimes it's also called Habits.
Mm-hmm. It's also, I think there was one called Sleepwalking. Was the
Yes,
other
I
one,
think
so.
that might be the book that the author Lauren Monger released.
Yes.
And apparently immediately sold out, but it was repressed in 2019, and I'm probably going to buy that this weekend.
That sounds great. This here from an outline article written by Michaela Clements. In 2015, Atlanta-based artist Lauren Monger's comic series Terrible, 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 also known as Habits or Clementine Comic, picked up a small but devoted cult following with a regular series on Vice, a print mini-comic released by Space Face Books that probably sold out. That was the one that we mentioned just a moment ago. And a Tumblr full of disquieting but soothing anthropomorphic animals in hoodies and scuffed jeans. I went through and I read all of Terrible, Terrible, Terrible. That is archived, by the way. If you go to archive.org and you search that Clementine Comix and you search Lauren Monger, you will find the entirety of it. It's been scanned and uploaded, which I really do appreciate because it makes it a lot easier for us to see just some of the great art. I got to tell you, Lauren
So
Monger,
good.
a fantastic artist because it's very sketch-like, but there's also the color's great. There's some stuff where it's clearly, paintings, but they're all animal people with animal heads. And this was way before we had a BoJack Horseman type of guy.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of in line with Boys Club.
A little bit like Boys Club. There's a little bit of Aquid in there, I
Yes.
think. I don't think that's intentional. I think that's just kind of maybe the tone. Mm-hmm. It's a little less silly.
There's some silly stuff, though.
There's some, like the first comic is Clementine, who is an anthropomorphic possum, summoning a horse demon who's wearing a cheetah print Speedo.
As an incubus. It's
As
not
an
just any
incubus,
demon, yeah. And the horse demon that shows up with the Speedo says, and I quote, "Bae, you want some of this, you know you want it. I bet you're the kind of girl that likes foot massages. Bitch, I will suck on all of your toes."
So Clementine goes from being very like sweaty about this to sobering up and just saying gross.
And then that's the end. It goes on to the next vignette. So yeah, the Achewood bit about being vignettes,
Not a super apparent punchline.
I think gross works as a punchline.
But it's not like a vaudeville thing.
Yes, it's very subdued, and I kind of like that. It fits in with the post-90s comics with an X boom. She even calls them Clementine Comix with an X. I'm thinking about guys like, obviously Robert Crumb, he's kind of an outlier, but I'm thinking about like David Eggers or, somebody like Chris Ware.
Yeah.
And this kind of influx of Art Spiegelman, specifically with the animal heads thing. Mm-hmm. But there's kind of all these influences kind of mashed together. But man, the colors are great. Like I said, they look like watercolors.
I'm fairly certain they are watercolors.
It's either that or it's those watercolor markers, the ones that are... But boy, the details are sketchy sometimes, but detailed in others. It's just, the art's great. I love the Bennett character, the raccoon, because there's some great art of Bennett.
It's implied that he's older than all of the other.
Yes.
He's the oldest person in the friend group. Yeah, I think what I really enjoyed about this comic, when I first discovered it 10, 12 years ago, was like, oh yeah, I'm kind of living this right now.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is like definitely being kind of a dirtbag, kind of aimless. Really, everything's just kind of based around like, where are we going to meet up and drink?
Yes, there's several plot lines that revolve around where we're going to meet up and drink. In Volume 2, there's where they go to, not the hobo graveyard, but it is the Big Pipe, they call it. It's a drainage ditch.
Yeah, I have partied in a drainage ditch before.
Exactly.
About 10 years ago.
Yeah, so they go down
and spray painted Butt Town on some of the piping that would be used to build a Walmart.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they get kicked out of the amusement park for sneaking in booze. The fortune teller tells Clementine to straighten your life out or you're gonna wind up working at the circus because she's just fucking depressed. She said if I don't change my ways I'd end up working at a shitty carnival. Like, it's implied that Clementine and Bennett have sex, and then there is a little sub comic which is parodying itself, Disaffected Youth in Hell.
Yeah,
it's more sketchy. Clementine literally just has memes.
Yeah, I scream at my own ass, which was very much so a Tumblr meme at the time.
Specifically about a possum screaming at its own ass, yeah. And then it just cuts away to a different story about how old Bennett is.
Yeah.
Bennett, I bet the pit at that Cranberries show was killer.
They ask him if he still has a mesh shirt,
I bet
which is so fucking choice.
And he says yes. But it also is like, what was it like to see the Crow in the theater? They're just really dunking on this old guy.
And he's like, in probably reality, he's probably like 2 or 3 years older than them.
Yeah, not all that much older.
But he's implied to be the only one that has like a job,
right?
In any kind of like maturity.
Yeah.
And there's always that guy.
Yeah.
In that friend group. Because I've been that guy in that friend group.
But he also goes from telling Clementine, you should go to school, but then also, hey, Satan compels you to get naked. Not necessarily the best guy, He jumps from, I don't know, feels a little weird. But at the same time, that shit happens. So it's kind of real in a way. Much like Achewood was very real in a way. You could believe that these people were people.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very much like mid-aughts, like aimless dirtbag kind of perception of things. And I think that's kind of pretty much everything that's written about this comic kind of touches on that. Like, yeah, if you were like a piece of shit who got blackout drunk before Yeah show in like 2007,
right,
and like met someone wearing a tutu, and that's all you really remember, like, yeah, you probably could relate to this comic.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been to a basement show where you made fun of someone for being straight edge and they didn't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly right. Look, there's a reason that Vice picked it up, because that was what their readership was like at the time.
Absolutely Vice's jam.
Yeah. But, characters don't really grow or learn anything other than, not to get lice or,
Yeah.
that there was a hobo who died here,
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. Because, there's some fantastical elements. There's that bit about summoning an incubus. There's the Clementine later communes with the dead guy. But for the most part, it's very grounded, which I always appreciate.
Unfortunately, unless you want to wade through the Tumblr, which is it's tough going through Tumblr these days. A lot of the Vice stuff has been kind of lost to time, and outside of what's on the Tumblr and in the archive backup, there's not a lot. And there's some stuff that I vaguely remember that I don't even remember enough to even try and outline. But there's some stuff that I remember reading that I wasn't able to find. There's something here that I found that really resonated with me, and I think I found a link on the Tumblr, but the link on Vice is now dead.
Of course.
Because Vice is shit the fucking bed.
Well, there's a passage in that outline article that reminds me of my favorite bit from this. In one strip where she is heckled by a strange dog man about her shopping bags, she responds, friendly enough, "At night, I like to put these bags over my head and think about death, but it never comes. Jesus," the Pomeranian says, thrown. "You don't have to be such a crazy bitch about it." I feel like that resonated enough with people that it wound up, not necessarily that exact scene, but I feel like there's something similar in a BoJack Horseman episode about like someone saying that they contemplate suicide, and someone just be like, "Jesus Christ, what is wrong with you?"
I was just asking if the soup was good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think anthropomorphic animals are fertile ground for this kind of exploration of human sadness and weirdness. But also, just the artists are fucking good. Like, I can't.
Art's really good. It's expressive. These interesting little slice of life stories, and I feel like it just kind of expresses a time and place that maybe can't be found anymore.
Well, I mean, people are trying to do like an indie sleaze revival, but that's very different than this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't even think this is indie sleaze. I think
No.
this is just like being aimless, going to house parties, knowing you should figure your shit out, but not really knowing what to do.
Yeah.
And so you're just kind of existing in the moment. The only momentum you have in your life is your friend group.
I think there's a great moment that Michaela also writes about here. They're hanging out near their old high school, and someone says to Clementine, "Kevin, who was the loser at their school, he's going to college," and Clementine loses her shit. Fuck! He was supposed to be a loser forever. I can't deal with this.
No, that's relatable.
That's one of the most true things in the whole that I've read. It's just, it feels like, damn, that guy was supposed to suck forever. He was not supposed to like get his shit together. I'm supposed to be the one that has their shit together. Oh, God damn it. Feels very real. It feels like I've said that aloud at least once. How dare you do things that I'm not doing? I'm better than, this whole attitude.
It's totally like, you know what? If I didn't have asthma, I totally could have been a Navy SEAL kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. There was that whole bit about like Bennett name a bunch of punk bands.
Yeah.
Like, throw a bunch of punk band names, and he throws out like, Incredible Fuck, Toe Bang.
There you go. The Stiff Shits.
Yeah. Anal Cephalic. Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't like that one. That one's not good.
Wastewater Treatment Plant Operators, otherwise known as WTPO, which sounds like, municipal waste. That's a riff on that, I think.
Yep. Yeah, Municipal Waste, boy. I like them, though. I
They're
like
great.
Municipal Waste, yeah.
I'm always jealous that I knew someone that got to see them with Asshole Parade.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh,
Let's
dude.
go. Let's
Yeah,
go.
Let's fucking go. The fucking angry white dudes in the tightest fucking jeans you've ever seen trying to beat the shit out of each other.
You'd
Let's
love
go.
it. You'd love to see it.
Tiny white dudes. Little guys you could put in your pocket.
Yes.
You put a fucking pack of Newports in the middle of a circle and you just throw them out like Pokemon. And they scuffle for it.
Skag Addict, I choose you. Yeah.
Birdman.
Ah.
Old Scratch. Bomb Proof. Juice Box.
And so when I was reading this, I did wonder, like, what's Lauren Monger's whole deal? And thankfully, included in Volume 1 of Terrible, 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 there was an interview written by Natalie for Silver Sprocket. And the question was asked, would it be fair to say that Clementine's supposed to be a version of you? What made you decide to make her a possum? Haha, yeah, in a way. She's a lot like I was when I was around 18 to 21. I'm not so much in that place anymore, so it's weird to write her. Kind of cathartic, just a pouring out a lot of my own flaws. She's also her own person, and there are quite a few differences. She spends a lot more time on the manic side of things, I think. Since these were the first comics I'd ever really tried to stick with, I went with the whole write what you know thing pretty hard. I wasn't really expecting anyone to notice them. A lot of the characters are lifted from friends and acquaintances or combinations of people I've known. As I've written more, they don't feel like those people so much anymore. I just straight up named Kyle after a friend of mine. Thankfully, he's the sort of guy who finds that funny. As for Clementine being a possum, maybe I am a weird southerner. It's kind of a long story, but basically a possum moved into my house without my permission. She had a bunch of babies, and they were really adorable, and would come into my room, and I'd give them strawberries or whatever. They also brought fleas with them. It was both a magical and terrible time. I've been sort of crazy about possums ever since. So I always like that little tidbit about Clementine being a possum. That also gives that storyline where she gets lice and gets into a bath.
It gives a whole other level to it, yeah.
I'm fascinated with these comics creators that became Tumblr famous, or they kind of have a niche following on social media where we really didn't know what we were doing. Fandoms were still kind of a nascent thing. Like Homestuck has this whole entire thing. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, you can tackle that one. I'll just nod.
Homestuck is a 6,000 page insane story about multiverses and demons, and we'll have to go into it on a whole other episode because I feel like that's
fucking at anime conventions.
There's that too. Yeah. Bathing yourself in the Sharpie so that you get the gray skin. Yeah. Just weird people. Weird people got attached to it, and I feel like the weirdest people I knew were terrible fans. they all had. They redrew Clementine with their own art style as their profile pictures and shit like that. I
don't even know what Lauren's up to. I didn't get that far because I don't think she's posted on her Twitter page for a couple of years.
Yeah, this article from the Outline was from 2019. It says, the Smonger's last social media activity was 2017. And she's quoted by this piece's author as saying, I don't think I can say that I'm done, but I really did need a break for a while. The break just went on a little too long. I'd like to give it some sort of proper ending. At the very least, internet commentary and sharing was a blessing early on, but sitting down and focusing on really writing something is hard with that kind of pressure. I can see why a lot of webcomics end up just being dropped. And that's fair. I mean, there's a lot of people that are still going for some reason or other. I mean, fucking Penny Arcade's still around. PvP's still around.
There's a few. I mean, Penny Arcade is never going to go away.
No, because they make too much money.
Yeah. But Achewood, how many times has Chris Onstad shelved that?
Yeah, but now that he's back with the Patreon, he's been consistent.
Is it good?
It's fantastic. There's a whole storyline that just wrapped up. Nice Pete has an idea for a mechanical object that would attach to a trailer to show if you're fucking. Ray says no, and so Nice Pete decides he's going to get revenge by forming a metal band with Theodore and and Lyle and Todd.
Of course, Todd.
They're going to force Ray somehow to, give him money. And so through a convoluted series of events, Ray winds up meeting his ancestor, Cornelius Schmuckles, who I believe died in a previous storyline.
Is Cornelius like the Civil War soldier character that I see posted on the Facebook groups every once in a while?
I'll have to look up the specifics. He meets an ancestor, and the ancestor is like, oh, what's all this newfangled technology? But this is like, they're trapped in the quantum realm because Pete played a bass note that knocked him out, and then Roast Beef shows up and plays the opposite bass note, which brings him back, but also brings back the ancestor with him. And the ancestor then invests in the in the device that Nice Pete had made, so everyone just kind of makes up. It's insane. He's still going on these really incredibly weird tangents. Achewood is still going very, very strong.
I gotta get on that.
Fuck You Fridays are back. Like there's a bunch of stuff that you would enjoy.
I need more Todd, the miracle. Scream balls the loudest it's ever been screamed. There's just so many great. I think what kind of ties all these things together, why we can look at this and think of AHOY, is because webcomics at this particular time were such a great way to express ideas and humorous concepts without pressure of like writing prose.
Yeah. Although in Onstead's case, he writes some excellent prose. So
sure,
you know.
yeah, the blog spots. There's some really great ones there.
Yeah, Ray's Place is still around on the Patreon. So,
that's awesome. The Ray's Place about going to a wine tasting contest and having a wine that was so good that it made him open and close his mouth 3 times is, yeah.
It's sublime writing, yeah, for sure.
But
I think you're right. The comics take a lot of that pressure off because you can move on. You don't have, it's not a single long form piece.
I bet if we asked Casey Green that, I'm sure he would probably agree on some level.
Yeah, because I think the longest sustained narrative that he's done recently was when he was adapting Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Other than that, you know, I mean, he's done...
before that was the Tall Bunny and the Fat Bunny and Gun Show.
Gun Show, yeah. Well, and he's doing something similar in Funny Online Animals was a kind of an offshoot of Gun Show. But no, I mean, he'll just like take a break and just do something completely different. You know, Graveyard Quest. He'll just show up and he'll just like, yeah. He's doing an anime parody right now called Heaven is a Prison.
Amazing.
I think if Lauren was to get back in the biz, if she started a Patreon like Casey or like Chris
Patreon for a minute.
Well, if she started doing more art and just kind of kept it there, like Casey and like Chris Onstead are doing, we might see more Clementine Comix. I think hopefully there's going to be something more, because I've always thought the art was just so good and the characters felt very real. And I think that's all you really need sometimes.
I agree.
I mean, especially when you're doing vignettes. And I think that's the other AHOY point of comparison, is that there's just, sometimes there's a story and sometimes there's not. Sometimes it's just a thing happens. That's also what made me think of Boys Club and Matt Fury, was that here's the thing that happened. Now, granted, it doesn't get as gross as like smoking a dog turd, but it's still, you know, there's still wacky hijinks. They're just more grounded. Then again, there's also the incubus. So, you know, it's kind of a mixed bag. If you go out and search for that, that's archive.org, and search for Clementine Comix with an X, you'll find at least 4 different collections of stuff. And they're all fascinating to read through. I did a read through today, so it's kind of fresh in my mind. And boy, I enjoyed that so much. I always have a good time talking about comics on these shows. Boy, I love those episodes with comics.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, you know what? I don't have anything else that's really jumping up. You know, like, oh, this would be really good. I'm like, oh, this. See, there's something here. Like, okay, there still is something. There's something special about this. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this is from the last gasp of the internet being kind of wild and fun. Yeah. In this sort of way where someone just like appears out and like you just literally just go on and be like, oh wow, here's a new artist I've never heard of, and everything they do is great and they seem like an interesting person.
Right.
You know, this is before algorithms fucking butt fucked us all into oblivion, and all we can do is stare at phone and
eat hot chip and lie. Yeah.
Eat hot chip and lie. Yeah, it
harkens back to a time where there was possibility, I think.
Sure. And I think Ed, friend of the show, Ed's kind of touched on this a little bit with his podcast, Better Offline. But just this like, like with the thing with AI, and this feels like not the end of the internet, but this is like the end of tech being relevant in our lives. At least this iteration, this era.
Yeah, because tech was a means to an end. You had to use Tumblr to get your art that you did by hand out to the world. And now it's the other way around. You've got to use the platform to create the art that you're it's backwards.
Yeah,
we've got it all backwards.
Like I lamented when we had KC on, which is like, it sucks that you have to spend so much time doing shit that isn't the creative process.
Oh, yeah. That's a huge part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, even 10, 20 years ago, like, you still had to learn how to market yourself and get your stuff out there. But it felt like at worst it was a 50-50 thing. Instead of 20% of your time is actually doing the thing you love and that's expressive and creative.
Right.
And then the other half of it is like watching YouTube videos on how like they changed the Instagram algorithm. So if you really want your stuff to start getting up in ranks, you gotta find stuff that's similar to what you're creating, and you have to follow that individual. You have to like their posts, and you also have to favorite them or bookmark them so that your For You is now all of a sudden trending. Your For You is all stuff that's in your niche, and like, dude, it's fucking insane.
Yeah, I'm guessing
I've done this because like when I was unemployed, I'm like, well, I sure have a lot to fucking say about being a failure of a photographer. I'm sure that's worth something, thinking about like what it would take to just like map out a video and then record it and edit it together. Like, that's whatever. I've done that before. I could find a way to make that like,
but it's
work for me.
time and effort, and
it's time and effort, and that's, to me, that's worthwhile. But then like all of a sudden, okay, how am I the monkey that doesn't put his dick in the outlet and puts his dick in the female monkey vagina instead? It's just like, how do I not? Okay, now that I've climbed the mountain, now where's the bathroom?
Well, there's that.
It's just everything you have to put your effort is beside the point of
the thing you want to do.
I think that kills a lot of creativity on the internet, or just in general right now, is that
I was going to say, it's not just the internet. I mean, Jesus Christ, people who write music are now having to go, okay, now I've written this song and I think it's a banger. Instead of, okay, we're going to cut it, we're going to send it to radio, radio's going to lead the way. Now they've got to be like, okay, well, we got to go send it out to get mastered, put it on Spotify, and maybe a different remix version for TikTok so that...
Can we make it a trending sound?
Ugh, yeah.
Can we... I don't remember if I referenced this before on here, but there was a King Kong barbecue show song that was popular for a while on TikTok.
Love You So, because it was the default. It was the default sound.
That's crazy.
Because this was when I first joined TikTok. I would notice this. Anytime I would go to like make a video or something, the first sound that would always come up would be King Kong, and that was the default sound. What people would do is they would have that as the default sound, and then they would just turn the volume down on the King Kong song and just do their video as normal. But it would still say King Kong and the Shrines Love You So in the corner. Very odd.
But there was a Canadian publication that interviewed them, and I'm going to greatly paraphrase here, but King Kong and Mark Sultan, aka BBQ, were basically just like, they fucking annihilated this journalist, because they're like, this has nothing, like, we don't give a shit about TikTok. It has nothing to do with anything we care about, and we think this shit is fucking lame and soulless.
Yeah,
basically, and like it's like that Playboy interview where with Lou Reed, and the guy's asking him about like if he owns like any stock in Sirius, and he's like, I'm trying to talk to you about like life and like art and love, man, and you're asking me if I own stock in the fucking radio. What did I ever do to deserve this?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you're Lou Reed.
There's that. Yeah.
The artist being tortured by capitalism, the system that
commerce,
a system that we are forced to participate in,
right,
for survival. When it really fucking bends you over, it really bends you over.
Yeah.
Just so you know, if you do check out Terrible, and end up really liking it, there is a Silver Sprocket e-store where you can buy a couple pins and like stickers and a reprint of Sleepwalking.
Yes, that's on my list. I'm gonna pick that up because Sleepwalking was great.
I'm gonna have to put in order and get a couple pins and stuff, and like I can't really stress just how much for a short period of time like I was really identifying with this comic.
And I think that's why it took off on Tumblr.
Yeah.
Because people,
a bunch of fucking other people that were in their late teens to mid 20s that like fucking didn't know what to do. And they're just like, they're just like hanging out, and like they work like a kind of shitty job, and maybe they're going to college, maybe not. Like, they're trying to figure their shit out. The only forward momentum in their life is their friend group.
Yeah.
And hanging out and doing dumb shit and drinking.
I mean, I even feel like there's a little bit of that spiritual vibe of Clementine Comix in the video game Night in the Woods.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a through line there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got the punk band, there's the older guy. Like there's a lot of these kind of vibes-based things that were very much that parallel experience that Lauren and Scott, the creator of Night in the Woods, had, that kind of are of a piece, like there was this time period.
They definitely complement each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that, because
It just hit me because I remember that bit in Night in the Woods where the wolf character, whose name I always forget.
I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
He's somehow like throwing knives and and there's a
Or
similar
they're having like a knife fight or something.
Yeah.
It's a little mini game where you have a knife fight.
That's right. And but it's just like, okay, yeah, that reminded me a lot of that. Or because he also works at the 24-hour like a 7-Eleven type of place called the Snack Falcon, and like that's the kind of shitty job that Clementine quits in.
Yeah,
in the early.
Also in Night of the Woods, there's the Donut Wolf, which is
Yes.
like the diner.
Yes.
God, Night in the Woods is so good. I'm really bummed that the composer / main programmer turned out allegedly to be a creep.
Yeah.
And unfortunately took his own life.
Yeah.
Which apparently killed the potential sequel that Scott and his wife were working on. And
Yeah, and not much else I can say. Yeah,
it's
a damn shame.
It's just a really sad thing all around in so many different directions
because I recommend that game to people all the time. I recommend that because the music is right, and there's this Pacific Northwest setting that's perfect, and there's this kind of...
Well, it's really more of like Pennsylvania Rust Belt. But
was it?
Yeah,
Oh.
because that's where Scott grew up and still lives, basically.
Oh, okay.
It's like in the Northeast Rust Belt. But it is still kind of... Some of the motifs, some of the vibe is a little Pacific Northwest and kind of
spooky woods. That's all I could. Yeah.
I'm not. It's
Twin
similar. I
Peaks.
get how you could jump there. And,
Twin Peaks, Alan Wake, spooky woods.
Yeah, you're not 100% wrong. There's definitely a line between Clementine and
Mabel. I had to dig deep for that one.
Yeah,
I couldn't think.
I haven't played it for a while. I haven't played it in a couple of years. Because I remember seeing you at a show.
Yeah.
And telling you that I had bought Night in the Woods on sale on Steam, but I also had Deus Ex like Human Revolution, and I decided I was going to play Deus Ex first.
Yeah.
And first of all, that Deus Ex game is not bad at all.
That's fine.
I think it's really fucking interesting, and I'm glad it builds on some of the stuff that the previous Deus Ex game does. But I didn't end up playing like Night in the Woods until like 2 or 3 years later after that. I actually started playing it the week before the composer took his own life.
Oh, wow.
Before the accusations from Zoe Quinn came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, oh, cool. The time I decided to... Now I have even more like weird ennui and mixed feelings than just playing the game itself.
Yeah, I mean, I have weird feelings recommending the game to anyone
such a
for this
fucking
reason. But it's just...
Harsh bummer, but like it's a true one.
Yeah. But it's also a jam of a game. So, I mean, if you, the listener, enjoy the comic, you go to archive.org, you check it out, and you go, yeah, this is the kind of vibe I want to do in a video game, I can recommend Night in the Woods. Because despite all that other stuff, the vibes are right, and it's fun and funny, but it's also tragic and serious, and it has that nice balance of tones, and it's a nice little piece of art. And I really hope that Scott makes something else because I really like his game. All right, you ready to get really grossed out in a way that I wasn't expecting?
Sure.
It's
yeah,
Shock
you know
Touch.
what?
Yes.
You know what? Yeah, let's do it.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Shock.jpg.
It's Shock.jpg.
Shock.jp.
Shock.jpg. All right.
that man doing to his hole? Hey, chat, does this look infected?
No, this is something else entirely. It is not a man doing something to his hole. It's a man making a hole in another man. It's called El Patron.
El Patron.
El Patron. Now,
Oh, this
requires a little bit of setup, so I'm gonna give you the setup here, courtesy of the Screamer Wiki. El Patron is also known as One Man, 5 Bullets. It depicts a man being shot 5 times in the face. Here it is in its entirety for 6 seconds.
Wow.
I don't usually like the violent ones.
Thanks, dude. Can we go back to the pee-pee poo-poo?
Yeah, exactly. The story behind it is also distressing. It's essentially just this guy was, he was a motorcycle taxi driver, and he rented a motorcycle. He was arguing with this guy who's an extortionist by the name of Frank Quiroz. Yeah, it says under content. In the video, Leonardo, that's the victim, is shown sitting on a sidewalk near his motorcycle taxi with a distressed expression saying, "To DA Patron, you tell the boss," to the extortionist who's recording the video. The extortionist then pulls out a Glock, saying "El Patron" to the boss, and proceeds to shoot him in the left side of his face 5 times. His eyeball pops out of his socket. He's gurgling blood. It's horrific. It's 6 seconds long, but it's haunting. The reason I saw this is that someone synced up the bullet hits to the bit in Not Like Us where Kendrick Lamar goes, "Wop, wop, 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 wop." He does it 5 times. And I was like, fuck. Okay. Great. Thank you for showing me this. And so I had to find the source of the video. But apparently this has been around a while. This video was uploaded right around 2022, so about 2 years ago. 6 seconds long, but it is fucking horrifying.
Yeah. Wow. That guy was just like slightly younger than me.
According to this here, it says in his free time, he enjoyed reading Harry Potter, playing dominoes, and following FC Barcelona, Man United, and the New York Yankees.
So this was basically like cartel violence.
So they caught the guy. About a month later, cops encountered him. He jumped from the 4th floor to the 2nd floor, dropping his Glock and fracturing his ankles. In the process, he was sentenced to 17 years and 4 months in prison February of last year. The video quickly spread through the Arabic-speaking community who entitled it Una Medias, or Murder of a Spanish Man. In November 2022, a Gmail account using the victim's full name as its name sent the video via email to several people. If someone replied to the email, they would receive a screenshot from the video automatically from a bot. This is why I don't like the violent ones, because I sit in stunned silence half the time. The one with the guy with his face split in half is at least like, okay, that's weird.
He looks like the Gorgon from Stranger Things. That one, I mean, that one still fucks me up. Yeah. Jesus fucking Christ.
See, this is why I want to do pee pee poo poo forever. But
I mean, there's things that can just be gross that don't involve
murder.
Yeah.
There's no segue I can think of. Yeah. It's time for the breath man. I needed one. Oh, God.
It's time for your mom's favorite part of the show. It's time for the breath mint.
So, Brian, you and I, just like last week, we saw something in common this week. Separately, we went to the theater to see Tim Burton's new movie. That's right, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. What did you think of Beetlejuice Beetlejuice?
I think it has the same problem that a lot of what you call legacy sequel. That's what you called it.
Legacy sequel.
I think the main problem with those sort of movies is that they spend so much time doing member berries.
Yeah.
That they barely have any time to do anything new.
Yes.
And I think this movie is not the greatest offender.
There's a moment where it's like, okay, we're done with that. Now we're just moving forward with our story. But it takes a good chunk of the movie to get there.
For an almost 2-hour film, it doesn't feel 2 hours.
No, that is...
It does move at a good clip.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like they had spent the better part of 30 years trying to figure out what a Beetlejuice sequel would look like. And this feels like probably 3 or 4 different scripts kind of blended together.
Yeah, because I remember the original idea was going to be Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian.
Which is insane.
Yes.
I've read a synopsis of what that was supposed to be. And it sounds absolutely, utterly fucking insane. It probably would have been either a great movie or absolutely terrible.
50-50. Yeah, I don't know.
Really no telling.
Kind of wish they'd done that instead of this. So a big part of the movie is working around the fact that Jeffrey Jones is a convicted pedophile. We want to include the Charles Dietz character that he played, but we don't want to have him in the movie. They create an entire claymation scene where he gets eaten by a shark, and then this body with just the giant shark bite in it, spurting blood everywhere, is wandering around half the movie. You didn't need any of that. You didn't need it. It's fine. You don't need to mention him at all. It's fine. I felt like Beetlejuice. No, I've said it 6 times. He still has not shown up.
Hey, Bubba, you show me that video of that guy getting murked again. Really getting my blood going.
Hey, Juice, what's up, man? Is OJ down there with you? Anyway,
He's still saying he didn't do it.
Because Beetlejuice does say in the film, the juice is loose.
The juice is loose?
Woo!
The juice is loose.
I know Michael Keaton knew what he was doing when he said that. Like, there's no way he didn't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just wonderful. as always with legacy sequels, I got problems. Main problem number 1. You have Danny DeVito in your movie and you waste him in a 30-second cameo. Number 2, you have Monica Bellucci in your movie and you waste her on a subplot that goes nowhere.
Yeah, so you take one of the most beautiful women in the world. Why did you seek out this particular? Because that's the reason why you hire her. Like, I need the most beautiful woman in the world.
Because he's dating her. Tim Burton's dating Monica Bellucci.
Is he really?
Yeah. He is no longer married, about 2017 or thereabouts.
He's not married to what's her face anymore?
Nope.
Damn.
Helena Bottom Farter, yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're no longer married. And so he's dating Monica Bellucci. And so that was, I think it was his way of flexing. Like, hey, check out who I'm dating.
Cool, dude. We didn't need a $100 million movie about it, bro.
The character that she plays is Beetlejuice's ex. Now, okay, sure. There's a throwaway line in the first movie where he has the disembodied finger. He pulls the ring off it. She meant nothing to me.
Right.
Okay. You're calling back to that gag. Fine.
Yeah,
I did not need an entire scene of her stapling herself back together to do the gag for that. Or an entire subplot where she's like, I'm going to get you, Beetlejuice. Rawr. Weird.
So, and also, like, how did she even end up? You know, there's some plot holes there.
I'm not even worried about that. It's a Tim Burton movie, and he's trying to do the 90s Tim Burton movie where he's like, plot holes, whatever.
What you're presenting needs to be of enough substance and enough interest that no one thinks about that plot hole. Because whatever happening is so interesting or so captivating or whatever. Yeah, I have...
This is not that.
Yeah. And, I mean, there's some really interesting visual stuff. There's a lot of good practical effect.
There's some great claymation, like I mentioned.
Ortega is great.
Oh, yeah. Even Catherine O'Hara, who I thought
Catherine O'Hara steals the fucking movie.
Oh, yeah.
She is, oddly enough, the best part.
Okay, so I watched the movies back to back. Friday night's our movie night here at the house, and then Saturday we took my wife out. It was her birthday. She wanted to go to the drive-in to see Beetlejuice. I said, okay. So we watched the first movie, and I was like, okay, yeah, okay. And then the next night, we watched the second one. And so watching them back to back, Catherine O'Hara goes from the most annoying part in the original film to stealing the fucking show. It's amazing.
There's so many great laughs, so many great deliveries. I think everyone brought their A game as much as they could.
Oh, absolutely. Especially Winona Ryder.
And,
top marks.
The guy who plays the father, who also plays Carl Tanner in Game of Thrones.
Oh God! I knew I recognized
I got his name.
I knew I recognized the face.
Bern Gorman.
Yes. Okay.
He's not in a lot of stuff, but he's always good. He's almost unrecognizable in a way in this movie because of his delivery. He's also getting a little older. Mm-hmm. But you know he's been in Pacific Rim, I believe 1 and 2.
Yes, he was in both. Yeah.
He's in a lot of just little things, but just like, oh, it's so nice to see him.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to see him. It's him and David Dashiell-Maine. I'd love to see those two guys. Again, I love a Willem Dafoe appearance. It has nothing to do with the plot of the movie. It's barely in there, but he's there, and he's having a good-ass time.
He's great. He's so fun. And the Ghoul Squad or whatever, they look like California Highway
Chips,
Patrol.
yeah.
They look like Chips.
Yeah, they sure do. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, you're right.
Like there's good gags and there's good ideas, but nothing's really coherent.
Nothing sticks. I think I might have mentioned this when I was watching the movie with the kids. I was like, yeah, the Maitlands, Alec Baldwin, Gina Davis, the Maitlands are missing. Not necessarily that they needed to be in it, but that type of character. Because if you remember the original movie, the Maitlands grounded it. Everything was based in their perspective. It was their desires to get the Dietzes out of their house that move the plot along. Without that kind of character to move the plot along, it just kind of goes wherever. And I think that's a problem.
Yeah, there's really no anchor. I mean, I guess the most is Astrid.
Astrid's story would have been a great film on its own.
It would have been a way better movie.
I think you could structure it in such a way where, okay, Charles Dietz dies. We go home to whatever the fuck the name of the small town in Connecticut is. Winter River, thank you. We go home to Winter River, Connecticut. Home, big quotes, because that's where I guess Lydia grew up and went to high school. Everything comes back to high school. And then it spirals out from there. Okay, she meets the boy and they fall in all that stuff, spoilers avoiding. that could have stood alone. I don't need to know Beetlejuice's backstory. I don't need to know about his ex-wife. I don't need to know about this dead cop, with this dead actor who thinks he's a cop.
Right. I mean, Beetlejuice explaining his origin story in like the old telenovela.
Funny. Fucking funny.
That's great.
That killed me. It took me out. Because it was like an Italian horror movie.
Yeah.
So, okay, fine. Give me that moment, but I don't need the whole thing around it. Because it culminates very much like the original did in an attempted wedding. Beetlejuice is trying to marry Lydia again. In the original, it was she made a deal. That was the deal. The one thing that bothered me most was the inclusion of the Harry Belafonte song, you know the one, as funeral music for Charles Dietz. Now, having watched the original movie the night before, that moment where they're at the kitchen table and they get possessed to do the little dance to Harry Belafonte, that was probably not a positive experience for Charles Dietz or anyone.
Right.
Like, they were doing this against their will. I would not think you'd have in your mind a positive connotation to that song. But yet they insisted that this choir of children sing Harry Belafonte at his funeral. Why? And the other thing is, the reason he's off on some trip and then gets eaten by a shark is bird watching. Bird watching was Adam Maitland's thing. Charles Dietz just moved into his house and took his shit and started bird watching as a way to relax. This means nothing to him. This is not a thing that he does. It just seems so strange. Luckily, they sidestep a lot of that for the rest of the movie. Thank God. They do manage to one-up the Harry Belafonte thing by doing an extended sequence to MacArthur Park. The Someone Let the Cake Out in the Rain.
Yeah.
The fucking dumbest song. And the perfect choice, honestly. It's maudlin, it's stupid, it's nonsensical, much like the movie itself. I think that MacArthur Park sequence is a top 10. As far as like Burton doing just whatever he wants to do. And that's, I think, where the movie shines. When Burton just goes, yeah, sure, why don't we have Willem Dafoe in this makeup and just have him in the background of an entire scene for like 10 minutes? Sure, why not? Let's do it.
Yeah.
The whole movie felt like him shrugging and going, yeah, sure, let's cast my girlfriend, why not? You know, there's just so much in it where you're just like, okay, I guess that's the way it's going to be now. I can't necessarily recommend it for someone who hasn't seen the original film, because why the fuck would you go see it?
I mean, we went mostly because my girlfriend is a really, really big fan of Beetlejuice.
Oh, yeah. A
And
lot of
so
goth
many-
girls are.
Sure, in so many ways. And I think she liked it. I don't think she like loved it. I didn't hate it. I think really what I hated the most about that experience was the fucking previews. I don't know what you saw it at drive-in. We saw it at a proper theater. And
I was waiting in line for my popcorn, and so I missed every trailer.
so 2 trailers were prequels to things that didn't need prequels. One was the Transformers prequel movie.
Oh, Transformers Day 1, yeah.
Which actually I've heard it's actually good.
If you saw Bumblebee, which was itself a prequel.
And then there was another thing that was a prequel that didn't need to be a prequel. Every single movie in the preview was like, did not make me feel better about seeing a sequel to a movie that was released in like, what, 89?
Yeah, it's like 36 years ago. Yeah.
It did not make me feel better about it. It was like, oh, okay, Hollywood doesn't have any fresh ideas. Yeah. All of these look fucking terrible.
It does not bode well for sure, yeah.
Yeah, also just like too many fucking commercials. What
did you go to Marcus again?
We went to an AMC.
AMC, yeah.
Dee wanted to get like one of the special like
the buckets, yeah, sure.
She got the book, the Guy for the Recently Deceased.
Okay.
Which seems like a great place to store your weed if we were those kind of people. But we went to an AMC theater, and I have not gone to an AMC theater in many years. And yeah, we had to sit through a like 3-minute commercial for like Walmart's back to school stuff, and there was like lots of dancing children, and like it was exhausting.
Yeah,
I felt beat up by the time the movie started. I felt mentally like I was thrown in a dryer with a brick.
Well, I saw something this week that I've been meaning to see for a while. It was a movie that came out in 2012, and it was a film called Compliance. Have you heard about this?
Enlighten me.
All right. So Compliance is one of those based on a true story kind of movies. It has Anne Dowd, who some of you may recognize from The Handmaid's Tale. She's Sister Lydia.
Ah.
And it has mostly the rest of the cast is unknowns or lesser known, or character actors, I guess you would say. A young woman who works at a fast food place. Her manager gets a call from someone claiming to be the police. They subject this young woman to a strip search. They subject this young woman to endless indignities, only to find out that this was not a real cop. This was not a real call. This was someone fucking around with them. It is a distressing movie because if you know the story going in, you know where the film is going, and you're just clenching your fists, seeing how far they'll go in the film with it. If you don't know where the story is going, if you're not familiar with the real stories, plural, that it is based on, you are going to be clenching your fists even harder because what the fuck is happening? I then found out the film is excellent, by the way. It's a self-contained one location type of shoot. There's a handful of actors. There's maybe 5 or 6 people in the film total. It takes place in these minimal locations. There's some wonderfully abstract shots of just like fast food being prepped while this horrifying thing is happening in the back room. I then found out that recently Netflix had done a 3-part documentary series about the real case that this film is based on. So I said, well, I got to watch that. The Netflix documentary series is called Don't Pick Up the Phone. Mm-hmm. That one names the real people's names and the real restaurant that it happened in. So in this particular case, the case that Compliance, the film, is based on, happened at a McDonald's.
I remember this, yeah.
And apparently there were cases going back 10 years. Excellent work by the documentary filmmakers, getting the actual CCTV footage from this young woman's ordeal, structuring it. There's some great talking heads. If you want to really feel down about humanity, those are the 2 things to watch back to back, because that's what I did.
Sick, bro. Fucking love it, dog.
Yeah.
Give me that fucking slop. I'm a piggy for it.
Yep. It's well done, but
Right.
It does feel very similar to a lot of other documentaries I've seen on Netflix.
Yeah, it's
like a formula.
The one about the cult in the Pacific Northwest, the one about the guy that rapes the little girl by saying the space aliens.
Oh, Jesus.
You know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but yeah.
But those are all really structured. Making a Murderer. Wild Country, I think, is the cult one.
The Tiger King. There's
Tiger
a few
King.
other ones.
There's a few, but yeah, there's a couple that, yeah, you could have just edited out about 10 minutes of footage and just made it a documentary movie. A limited one that they did on John Wayne Gacy, the serial killer.
Okay, now that one, there's a lot to go over. There's a lot of material.
I end up tapping out after a couple episodes because even though I know a lot about the John Wayne Gacy case, there was a lot of stuff that was new to me that I had never read before.
Sure.
Or had never seen, and that was really fascinating, but it was told so fucking dryly.
Yes.
And at a snail's pace. Like, you gotta have a little bit more of a rhythm to how you're telling this. Because I was like falling asleep, even though I'm like, wow, I didn't know that like he was having police officers over and they're like, what's that smell, bro?
Yeah, the John Wayne Gacy one is fascinating because, yeah, I didn't know half that stuff either. Don't Pick Up the Phone is only 3 episodes. It is worth a watch if you're interested, after seeing Compliance, to kind of get the real story, and you'll find that it's almost 1 for 1 for the film. Everything she went through is in the movie, is in Compliance, is in the fictionalized version. So they did not flinch at all, which is interesting for a based on a true story movie, because half the time those are just like, oh, well, we cut out this part where actually this happened. Like, no. This one, in a rare case, they actually, yep, this happened, and here it is. Here's someone being taken advantage of by an authority figure. The authority figure doesn't realize that they're being manipulated by someone else.
Right.
What Don't Pick Up the Phone does, which I think is interesting, it picks it up and then drops it, but it does go, well, the Milgram experience, and it goes into this like psychological, why would people do this kind of explanation.
Yeah.
Which is something I don't see a lot of documentaries do.
Yeah, it sounds really fascinating. I might have to check that out.
Yeah, and they're, like I said, they're a companion piece. You kind of have to see the dramatization and then kind of get into the nitty gritty for the other part. How about you, Brian? Anything else you want to?
We finished the second season of You. I'll touch on that real quick. Didn't expect that to go where it went.
Haha, no.
What the fuck?
Yeah. But it's also part of why I tapped out. It's also part of why I didn't want to watch the rest of the show. Like, yeah, I think I'm good.
I'm not as excited for season 3 because I'm like, oh god, no, we're doing this again.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah, that's
I thought, like, I think there's more, spoilers ahead here. I think there would be a more interesting story about a psychopath who realizes his folly, but now has a child in a romantic relationship with someone who is the same sort of psychopath that he has decided he no longer wants to be.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting story.
Yeah.
Because that is the big reveal at the end of season 2 is that love is basically a mirror of him in some respects. And it freaks him the fuck out.
Right.
And it's like, but bro.
Yeah.
But bro, this is what you've been doing for 2 seasons.
Yeah. I feel like they didn't really know where to go because I think the first season was the entirety of the book that they were based on. And they're like...
And then season 2 is based off a book called, I think, Hidden Bodies or something like that.
Yes. Yeah. And so after that, they're like, well, now what?
The last 2 episodes of season 2 were just like, wow, what? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely enthralling.
Yeah, but you understand my decision not to come back to it.
Yeah, if me and Dee were to stop there for a while, I don't think I would be upset.
No.
Let it marinate for a while.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like what I had to do with after Dexter season 4.
Yeah.
I feel like that could have been the end of the series right there. And I feel like You season 2 could have been the end of the series for that as well.
They could have tied it up there, yeah. I don't think anyone would have been too upset about that, but they decided that they had more story to tell, and we'll see where it goes. Jenny Ortega's in that as well, and also does a great job.
That's right. Yes.
She plays the precocious little sister.
Gosh, I'd forgotten about that, but yeah, you're right. She is in that.
Yeah, and she's great. I mean,
I haven't seen anything that she's been in that I haven't enjoyed. So because like X and that, and Wednesday, as flawed as it is, she's great in it.
Wednesday's got its moments.
I love Luis Guzman.
I was going to say,
Gomez.
love
him.
Luis Guzman is it's the only place you could get to play.
Oh yeah,
Gomez.
Yeah,
I feel like.
Who else you gonna get? It's him. It's Luis Guzman.
Him.
Come on.
Yeah,
he's the guy.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was last Friday I got to photograph King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard, which was a ton of fucking fun.
Yeah,
that was so fucking good. Considering the less than ideal situations I've had to deal with photographing live music over the last month or so,
right.
It was nice to be like, oh yeah, this is why I do this. Oh yeah, this is why I fucking bang my head against the wall trying to get better at this. It's like, oh yeah, like a show where like everyone in the crowd's like super nice. The band was super good. Like the opener, Geese, that record, man. That record is fucking rough. But live, they were great. I don't know what the fuck that says about anything. The band that like made me like chew on the inside of my cheek. Like listening to them like live, I go, oh, they're cool. Like they're great. Like they connected with the crowd. They were entertaining to watch. They were very proficient at their instruments. Like it was really weird to be like, yeah, I still think they are a New York band, parentheses pejorative, but like they weren't bad live. They didn't commit that sin of also being a bad band to a band that you felt like you had to suffer through to get to the headliner. Again, what the fuck? I don't get it. I don't understand what's going on there, what changed, what happened, but
I mean, maybe they're a band where the live experience is the whole thing, and trying to put it on a record is hard to capture.
Well, I think the main dude's also not doing like weird sex pest low register voice singing. I don't like
That'll do it. Yeah. for sure.
live. Like the record feels like someone's sitting way too close to you, and you can't do anything about it. Like someone's really imposing on you.
Yeah, yeah.
And you don't know if you can say anything about it without getting some real repercussions. Yeah. But King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard played for almost 2.5 hours, danced around basically their whole discography, played some songs that apparently never had been played live before.
Sick.
One of them was Shanghai off of kind of like when they're like more like electronic records. It's just really interesting to have a band come out and they start out playing some of their heavier stuff, like stuff that's more metal influenced, and then they went into like the microtonal prog rock shit for 2 or 3 songs, and the microtonal stuff is apparently dashed across a couple records, though they have 3 records in particular that's all microtonal music. Mm-hmm. They played some stuff from that part of their catalog, and then they brought out a table of synthesizers and did like Shanghai and like a couple other songs from that part of their catalog, and then went into like stuff off the new record, which is like classic Southern rock, and it all like made sense. Like it didn't none of this like felt jarring. It flowed, which I think is a really hard thing to do.
Yeah,
because I think some bands have a hard time playing material from different records that are in the same genre. Like they're all hardcore records or they're all punk records.
Yeah.
I think some bands have a hard time doing that. The go through complete genres and still have there be like some sort of common vibe, I think really speaks to the musicianship and their approach to music that I really respected.
That's impressive. I mean,
I was like fucking blown away. And when I got into the line at the factory after getting my credentials, I was like looking at this guy behind me, and I was like, man, I'm actually kind of amazed there's this many people here. And he gave me this really like weird look, and he's like, yeah. I go, yeah, dude, St. Louis is like we are not on fucking trend half the time. Like this show could be sold out. And he's like, well, it is sold out. I'm like, well, that's fucking great. Or there could be 1,000 people here, if that. And he goes, really? I go, yeah. And he's like, oh, I came here from Atlanta. I'm like, that's fucking cool.
Sick.
I like met a lot of people like, yeah, no, we were at Nashville last night.
Oh, so they're getting kind of a dead-like thing.
Apparently they have had that for a while.
Damn.
But there was a song that they were going to play. I think it was called Witchcraft or something like that. And they were starting to play it, and like the crowd was like, no, no, no. The main guy, I forget his name off the top of my head, was like, wait, what's up? Did we play that last night? Who was at the show last night? And there's like 20 people.
Sea of hands.
20 people raised their hands like, oh, we played last night. Let's play Flamethrower. And apparently they haven't played 3, because their whole thing is they try not to play the exact same set 2 nights in a row.
Okay.
So they may play Flamethrower in St. Louis, but they're not going to play it the next night. They might play it 2 nights or 3 nights from now.
Okay.
But they try to not repeat songs.
That's interesting.
And they have enough material that they can kind of get away with it.
I was gonna say, as a guided by voices situation, they got so much music.
Yeah, well, they have 26 records.
I was gonna say, yeah,
they can probably make it work, not without too much trouble. But my thing was, I would have liked a couple more tracks off the new record, because I think the new record's really fun. But the fact that they were able to kind of just almost effortlessly play 2.5 hours. Seemed like they were having a blast. The crowd to be so engaged, just like such good vibes. Like I got to photograph the whole entire set. It was me and one other photographer that actually stayed the whole way through, because I'm like, I don't know, next time I'm gonna get to photograph this band, and I'm having a fucking blast. I'm like, the last probably third of the set, I was just in the photo pit off to the stage, just like leaned up against the stage, not in I'm to the left of like any of the musicians. I'm like in the shadow, but I'm just kind of like fucking just chilling. Like I'm watching the crowd, I'm watching the band. Like orally not a great place to stand, but just like a good visual thing. And I was able to snap some really great photos I would have gotten there otherwise. And I was like, wow, it was such a great experience. And
damn.
And then I immediately had like go home and like go to bed.
The working man,
yeah. And like 2 of my coworkers were at that show, and one of them did not come in Friday.
You call in sick, big air quotes? Yeah.
Well, the 2 coworkers did go together, and the one that did show up was definitely like, dude, was like, yeah, man, I was having so much fucking fun. We were drinking, and I'm like thinking like, dude, how can you be so chipper right now? like I showed up with like a Pedialyte and a cup of coffee, and like I didn't even drink.
Yeah.
I just need nutrition.
Skill issue, I think is what. Yeah.
Yeah, and this dude is just like any other day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. Wait, dude, did you get some cool photos? I'm like, yeah. Oh man, yeah. Oh, we drank all this, we drank all that, and I'm like, I'm getting tired thinking.
Yeah,
about
just
this.
hearing about this. Well, I would play a show on a Friday night and then have to go work on Saturday morning, 7 a.m.
I don't know how you fucking did
It-
well, you were much younger.
I was much younger. Not that much younger, though. I mean, like, the last band's really only been over for like 6 years or something. Yeah, I think it was just you're running a little bit on adrenaline. You're running a little bit on, like, I'm here. I got to do what I got to do. I will cop to the fact that, like, energy drinks and coffee do work wonders on a hangover.
Yeah, I mean, I'm drinking a lot more coffee than I used to. Like, I have like little stuff that I drink that has caffeine in the morning, but man, fucking noon comes around, and if I'm like doing something like recording this podcast in the evening, like I gotta have that noon cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Which gets some really terrible looks from people that don't work a 5 to 3:30 shift in my building. I've definitely poured a cup of coffee and like looked over my shoulder and just seen someone just like, the fuck?
It's like, man, you don't know me.
Man, it's hard out here. Well, yeah, that was a super good show. I just I've been a little busy, and I've been having a really hard time trying to basically tell what I've told you all and what I've told you, Jason, and find a way to put that into prose where it flows.
Yeah.
I might just end up with something short and sweet, because I've got other stuff going. I got Frank Turner tomorrow night, and I've got Gel and MS Paint, which you're going to be joining me for.
I will indeed.
And then next week there is Story of the Year. There's
yeah, you got a full plate.
Story of the Year and The Used. Next Sunday is T-Pain.
T-Pain, yes.
T-Pain and Pitbull.
Shout-out.
Dale. I want to see
Mr. Worldwide.
I want to see Mr. Worldwide.
Yeah.
My girlfriend wants to see T-Pain, but I want to see Mr. Worldwide.
Hey, best of both worlds, if you ask me.
Really, yeah. But having a really, really weird time getting press access through Live Nation for a lot of media people in St. Louis.
Yeah, I've heard that's a thing.
So we'll see how that goes, because I was supposed to be photographing Cage the Elephant and Young the Giant tonight, but I got denied after being invited to photograph by Young the Giant's press representation. Myself and I think a lot of other people. And it's the same people that take care of Mr. Wives. And when Mr. Wives played the pageant last summer, I photographed that show. And there was at least like 10 of us in that photo pit, and it was not fun.
Chaos,
But the thing is, you could have 10 photographers in the photo pit at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, a.k.a. Riverport, and it not be no thing. Mm-hmm. Actually, 10 photographers in the photo pit there feels like, wow, no one's shooting this?
Yeah, you got room.
Oh,
you
dude,
got
I've photographed fucking shows at Riverport where it was like, well, I guess this is where I'm standing for these 3 songs, because I can't fucking move. I'm fine with not have to do that. I'm tired, and
tired
made
man.
Shit easier for you as well, because we didn't have to record on Wednesday.
That's fine. That just means it's after D&D group for my kids. Nerds.
That's all I got, man. You
right
want
on.
to put a bow on it?
Let's do it.
Record some bullshit.
Indeed. This is the part of the show where we tell you where to find us on the old internet. Brian, since you are the apple of my eye, the Robin to my Howard.
The turd to your sandwich.
Indeed. Tell us where to find you.
Oh, yeah, if you want to send me death threats online or tell me that my hair is bad, you can find me on...
Which it is not, by the way.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet.
Yeah.
You can find me on all kinds of places on the internet. If you want to find me on Twitter, it's iShotGuideboard, ISHOTGUIDBORD. If you want to find me on ye old Instagram, it's a music photographer. If you want to check out a website that's not working, you can go over to musicphotographer.com. If you want to check out my photography portfolio, it's assholemusicphotographer.com. If you want to check out the last and only good media website in St. Louis, you go over to theartsstl.com. There's some nice new photo galleries up there and some nice little reviews.
Yeah, I saw some last week. It was really good.
There's some good stuff on there. Lord Jorl's doing some great shit. Holly Kite is also knocking it out the park. David Van Nordheim just posted his final piece about this metal festival he went to in Scandinavia a couple months ago. That's a really nice little read. But yes, the RSSTL, the last and only good media website left in St. Louis. And hopefully maybe by the time this is up, I'll have that King Gizzard piece up and maybe a couple other things.
Hooray.
Who knows? Who the fuck knows? I might just go fucking crazy this week. Who fucking knows? Jason.
Yes.
Where can they find you?
Oh, boy. You can find me a number of places on the internet. Chances are, if there is a video crime somewhere, that's going to be me. That's VIDEOCRIME. Twitter, Blue Sky, all those places. And you can also find me as part of a podcast that's not this one, called Submitted for the Approval of the Midnight Pals. There, I play a fictionalized version of Stephen King. We got a bunch of little mini episodes we're going to be putting up as kind of a teaser for our season 2, which will be happening in about a month or so. One of which involves one of our actors who played Clive Barker quit. And so we had to get someone else to play Clive Barker. And so we decided the best joke would be that Clive Barker, because he's British, regenerates like Doctor Who. And so
person with a British accent.
And so the new voice actor gets their introduction in the form of a little Doctor Who mini episode. Kind of fun. And Bitter Corella, who was a former guest of the show, guests on there as Roger Corman.
Amazing.
Doing the voice of kind of the Bobby Duke from Scaredy Cats, another former guest of the show. It's wonderful. It's like a convergence of all of my nerdy interests, and it's just fun. We're going to release that in the next couple weeks or so. Keep an eye out for that, midnight-pals.simplecast.com or wherever podcasts are sold. You can contact the show in a number of ways, but my favorite of which is the telephone. We have yet to get a text yet, but we're going to work on that. 314-246-9766. You can call, leave a voicemail, or you can send us a text. We also accept messages via email, jason@48minutesofdogsbarking.com or Brian with a Y at 48minutesofdogsbarking.com. You can support the show, patreon.com/48minutesofdogs. There, a user named Poo in an Alleyway did send us a message. I almost forgot about this. Poo in an Alleyway states, you guys talked about Icon Has Cheeseburger on a recent episode, and I wanted to tell you about an ex-boyfriend of mine whose brain was made entirely of memes and feet pics. He would say Icon has cheeseburger to cats as if they could understand what he was saying to them, and would get slightly annoyed if the cats didn't respond positively to him saying it. He would also frequently say, "Le wild cat appears," if he saw a cat in the wild. I finally got annoyed with him saying "Le wild cat appears" that I told him he was making the meme unfunny by constantly saying it all the time, and he cried. You too can send us messages like this if you join the Patreon. Patreon.com/48minutesofdogs.
Icon has cheeseburger?
Imagine saying that to a cat. The cat doesn't know what you're saying.
No. We give our cat the middle finger all the time, and we call him a fat basketball bitch.
Right.
And we tell him he smells bad. I told him he smells like old dirt earlier today. Musty old nasty cat. He doesn't understand. All he just purrs like a big old idiot.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, they don't get it.
Yeah. So if you want to do that thing, patreon.com/48minutesofdogs. You can also sign up at the $10 level, get yourself on the list for the folks who are going to get the 90-minute commentary track on the Japanese puke fetish video Garo Monster Home Delivery.
Got until the end of the year, folks.
Yes, sir.
What are you doing with your fucking life?
Exactly. Well, as we always say at this time, namaste, good luck, give mommy a good gut fucking, 25th Amendment now. Who ate all the pussy?
Eat the knife.
Eat the knife.